Hi folks, quick mod video for you this morning. This is the PXP, which is a SEGA emulator, which is based on this form factor of the PSP, as you'll notice. Now this game comes with, I think it's 50 games built in, and it additionally came with two cartridges like this, which had I think 40 games in each. And if you recall, I actually tore one of them open. It claims to be, you know, nearly 1 million in one games, but that's not the case. But yeah, let's say you recall when I tore it open, there was zero semiconductors, as in, sorry, no electronics in these cartridges at all. It's purely just the cartridge connector. And again, when I tore this open, I discovered that there was only 4 contacts populated in this cartridge slot. So what I'm going to show you today is basically how to modify a cartridge so that you only need to put one cartridge in and you've got access to all the games and you don't have to swap cartridges. Now the way I'm doing this is it's non-intrusive to the device itself. We can do this all in the cartridge. However, if you would rather have just a, you know, clean top, you know, a flush top, we could mount the switches possibly down here in the speaker grill area, because there is a bit of empty space behind there. All you're going to need for this is, let's say this is a non-intrusive way, so we're going to use a cartridge housing and this PCB, and we're going to use a couple of switches and a few pieces of Kynar wire. Obviously you need a soldering iron, you know, and some other bits and pieces, but we'll go through that as we go along. Now, if you like me and use eBay and AliExpress and stuff like that, I got this job lot of 120 switches of various form factors and types. I think there's 120 switches, and it cost me like £1 delivered from China. So the ones I'm going to use today are these ones. I'll take these out purely because I'm not going to have to do any drilling or anything like that. We can make this a lot tidier if we want, but this will just be a quick video, and you can obviously modify the process to suit yourself. The reason I'm using these two, there's a small, they are just small tactile switches with flat leads, just 2 of them. Normally these would have 2 on each side, but we're just going to use these because the leads are slim, and you know, that they're going to slot in between the case without any sort of major modification. Okay, so let's look at the PCB itself. Let's say from looking inside, there's only 4 connections utilised, which is this one, this one, this one, and this one. Now we can ignore this one here because this one is irrelevant. It's not used. But this is the common pin, if you like, if you want to call it a common pin. So with no cartridge inserted in the machine, it will play the inbuilt games. Okay. Now when we put this cartridge in here, or this, you know, the one when this was in a cartridge, when this went in, we can see if we follow the traces. I don't know if you'll be able to see that. This one here, so we're common pin, and the second pin from the left. If we see that, there is a tiny branch there, yeah? So on this cartridge, when it goes in, it's branched between pins 2 and 4. So we'll just name these 1, 2, 3 and 4. Yeah, so when this cartridge is in, pins 2 and 4 are branched and gives you access to some games. And on the other cartridge, this is obviously cut, and this one has the join, which means that pin 1 and 4 are joined. You can have access to some other games. You know, so it's basically simulating 2 different cartridges. So what we're going to do is we're going to modify this PCB. Let's say this is going to be non-intrusive to the machine. It's going to be a very quick build. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to cut that trace. Okay, so the trace I just mentioned, we're just going to, sorry, you can see that, just going to cut that, so that it's not connected, and we'll just check that we've done that correctly using our multimeter and just check continuity on that. So this cartridge was pin Yep, so all those contacts are now broken. Perfect. So now all we're going to do is we're going to put some solder on this. Okay, I've got my iron warming up. Excuse me. And we'll just tin up pins, the pads on pins 4. And in fact, before we do that, I'm just going to check that. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure, because obviously I've cut that trace, but it could still branch over. And yeah, because the pin 4 is onto this big trace at the top, so it is quite close. So there's pin 4 being tinned, pin 2 and pin 1, and then we'll just take a big bit up here, and that will be a common, because that goes to pin 4. Okay, now while we're here, we'll just again check continuity. So we'll check pin 4, which is the main pin, and just quickly go across there. Yeah, nothing at all. Yep, happy days. Now I've already prepped some Kynar wire, which I'll just tack onto those points we've just made now. So this is going to be a common pin. Excuse me. This is going to be a pin 3. And this will be a pin 2. I'll just trim that slightly, it's quite long. Okay, so hopefully you saw that, but there's let's get it to focus. There's what we've got. Okay, so this one's technically pin 4, pin 2 and pin 3. Oh sorry, pin 1 and, yeah, you can see what it is, where it's going. Yeah, pin 1, pin 2, pin 4. Okay, so that's our wiring done onto the cartridge. Now to wire onto the push button switches. So how I'm going to do this is I'm just going to tin these just at the ends. I don't want lots of solder on the the leads, because that might affect the closing of the cartridge itself. And I've got another small piece of Kynar here, which I'm going to tack onto a join, so we've got a common switch. Sorry, the common on the so the pin 4 on here is going to be connected to both legs, or both switches, lies at a centre point. Obviously cut that Kynar a bit too close to the actual conductor, because it's just broken. Okay, so that's good. I'll take our other one now. Obviously guys, you can take your time and get this perfect, but this is just a, let's say, hopefully a fairly quick video showing you the basics of how we're going to do this. Right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to that common that we've just made, we're going to tack together. So yep, so hopefully you've seen that. We've tacked the common, so the pin 4 goes to 2 legs, or one of the legs on each of the switches, and the other leads, doesn't matter which one goes where, unless you've got a preference to what cartridge you normally use. Let's say it doesn't matter whatsoever, so we're just going to tack that up, and then on the other one, get that in position. Just bear with me. And that's that tacked up. Okay guys, so looking at the cartridge now, that's how it should look like. So pin 4 is our common pin, like we said. Pin 4's here, but we've just moved it across there to get out of the way. So pin 4 comes up here onto this leg, which is joined to this leg, and then pin 1 and pin 2, because obviously that comes down this way. So pin 1 and 2, pin 1 goes to there, and pin 1 goes to there. So pin 1 and 2 to one side of the switch, and the common goes to pin 4. And then it's a case of assembling it. So the cartridge goes, it's easy if I do it back to front. So the cartridge goes in like so, and the reason I used this case was these switches was because the leads are fairly thin. So what we're going to do now is, once we've assembled that like so, we'll take the other half of the cartridge, we'll just simply push that down, and just using the friction itself, those switches are held in place. Now I will, got some super cheapo super glue, I'll just possibly put a dab of super glue on this to hold them in place. So now incidentally, when I was tearing this down, when I was putting it back together, I managed to break the switch, which is a nice surface mount device. So it's a bit, I didn't have parts to replace it. So when I put the battery in, this will instantly turn on. So what we'll do, in fact, we'll take the cartridge out first. So by putting the, okay, so we've got Zuma balls there, okay, and don't cry for me Argentina again. So I'll just pop the cartridge in, just so you can see that it will still come up with that menu. Okay, so that's us on the, still on the internal games. And if we hold down the first button and then press reset, we get Samurai Showdown, showing us that that is the second cartridge. And if we hold down the second button and press reset, it loads into the third menu, so the second cartridge. And just to prove that, I mean, that button has been obviously released. These are momentary switches. If I just go down to, what do we say, Simpsons. We'll go down to Simpsons. Although the button isn't depressed, if I press that, you will see I don't know if that's clear, but it is a Simpsons. There we go. Perfect. So there you go guys, that was a quick mod video, like I say. So by doing that mod, obviously just taking the battery out now because I broke the power switch, yeah, just that simple mod allows us to utilise all three cartridges, the two cartridges and inbuilt games, just using one cartridge. Let's say if you feel like it, you can mount these switches inside and just tack the wires onto the back of the cartridge connector itself. I hope you found that useful. If you did, please give us a thumbs up, and if you enjoy my videos, please subscribe. I hope to see you soon. Thanks again, bye bye.